There are loads of eyeballs watching the Ethereum roadmap right now. There's a huge anticipated event on the horizon, the Ethereum 2.0 merge that's scheduled to happen later this year. And the big belief is that is probably going to be good for the price of Ether, especially right now as prices are going down. But what if it's not? Like, what if the merge is actually bearish for ETH, and what if people end up selling it? Okay, that's what we're going to talk about today in this video. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory. On this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then definitely smash that like button down below and subscribe to this channel. And we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Make sure you just turn notifications. You're going to find out about those whenever we go live. And if you want to know how to master blockchain step-by-step, start to finish, break in this industry, take advantage of all the crazy opportunity, then definitely head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. All right, so we got people jumping in the chat here. We got Culture Hives, Empath, Technically, Lee. Let's see, CJ, Rodrigo, Quinn, welcome. All right, so let's jump into this. So I got this article pulled up here that I saw floating around that I want to discuss because this is the topic of conversation for today, which is what's going to happen with the price of Ether from the Ethereum 2.0 merge. Are people actually just going to sell the merge instead of it being a bullish thing for the price of Ether? Okay. So, basically, we've got Ethereum on this multi-phase roadmap to Ethereum 2.0, all right, the long-anticipated, version of Ethereum that's been the vision from the very beginning, all right? Ethereum that's used right now is Ethereum 1.0 with a proof-of-work blockchain, but it is switching that out for proof-of-stake. And, of course, the miners become validators, and we go to staking assets instead of mining assets. And so, basically, you're able to take your Ether, lock it up into the blockchain, and earn a passive income reward for doing that, okay? So, of course, there's a lot of anticipation that the merge that's scheduled to happen later this year is going to be good for the price of Ether because of the deflationary effects that's going to happen after that. That's kind of the big viewpoint, is that because the Ethereum ecosystem is changing, that's actually going to affect the economics of Ether, the asset itself, because fundamentally it's a supply and demand based market, and that the actual supply of Ether is going to go down on a regular basis after the merge. Because why is that? Well, basically, right now in proof of work, you have miners that are running the blockchain. They're confirming transactions and mining them, including the blockchain. They get paid a passive income reward for doing that, right? And the blockchain actually creates new Ether, new cryptocurrency to pay the miners to run the blockchain. All right, and you've got the amount of cryptocurrency created by the blockchain itself. Basically increases the supply of the total cryptocurrency on an annual basis, okay? But after the Ethereum 2.0 merge, the new cryptocurrency that's created by the blockchain to pay not the miners, but the validators, that amount of cryptocurrency is going to decrease significantly. It's going to undergo what's called the triple halving, which essentially takes the cryptocurrency and decreases it by 3 times, all right? So from basically like 4% inflation roughly per year to 2%, that's one halving, 2% to 1%, that's another halving, 1% to 0.5%, which is another halving, triple halving, all right? So that's going to make the blockchain create a lot less Ether, and then also we're burning Ether whenever new transactions are created. So basically, whenever you do a swap on Uniswap or you send cryptocurrency around, it's going to erase Ether from the blockchain. It's going to burn it, and that's going to offset the amount of cryptocurrency issued, assuming that the network activity stays at least the same as it is right now, okay? So there's a lot of people that think that, hey, Ether is going to essentially be deflationary, and assuming the demand level stays the same, which, of course, demand's been dropping, then that should be bullish for the price of Ether over time, assuming that demand actually picks back up and we don't, continue on into a bear market for infinity, which I don't think that we will. So that's kind of the viewpoint. And also the other viewpoint is that, traders love to, front run big events in crypto. And that's another reason why this could be, bullish for the price of Ether itself. Now, I want to talk about this opinion piece that's floating around. I just saw it pop up, today on CoinDesk, talking about selling the Ethereum 2.0 merge, okay? So it says basically it doesn't make short-term bets about what's going to happen, but talking about, prominent traders like Arthur Hayes, Mark Cuban, Travis Kling have made very public statements here and here and here about how bullish the upcoming Ethereum merge is for the price of ETH for different reasons. A lot of them are echoing the things that I just said. But basically, it's the most anticipated event in digital assets ever. So yeah, Ethereum 2.0 merge is definitely one of the biggest long-awaited things that ever happened in the history of blockchain. People have been talking about it for years and years and years, and it's finally here, or will be pretty soon. But basically, what he's saying, he kind of overviews the same things I was talking about, the supply shock. That's essentially what it is. Basically, if there's less and less and less Ether and there's enough demand for Ether, that's fundamentally going to have an impact on the price because of supply and demand economics. But what he's saying here is that there's risk associated with the merge. And that's one thing that people kind of aren't really talking about as much, is the risk that the merge won't actually be successful. That's one thing that he's mentioned here. So let's talk about that for a second. So what's going on with the Ethereum 2.0 merge right now is a massive technical feat. So if you're using Ethereum right now, you're using Ethereum 1.0. I'm not sure why my camera's like deciding to mess up on me here. You're using Ethereum 1.0 right now. If you're like trading a token on Uniswap or you're sending cryptocurrency around using a MetaMask wallet, okay, that's the Ethereum that everybody has been using since it launched, okay. And Ethereum 2.0 is a separate blockchain over here. It's got its own set of cryptocurrency associated with it for ETH 2.0. Okay. It's not being used yet. It's on the beacon chain. All right. And those two blockchains are going to get merged into one. And each one has, billions of dollars of cryptocurrency stored on top of it. And now we go through all this stuff to simulate. Basically, whenever you do that, you have to take these two blockchains and put them together, and that's a massive technical feat with certain risks of failure. And so that's one of the reasons he's citing here, is that there is massive technical risk, okay, with the merge that's going to happen, okay, and that for lots of reasons there will be people selling because of that risk ahead of time. And so instead of like traders trying to front run the opportunity, that there's actually probably going to be people taking a risk off approach to avoid something like that. As he says here, basically the merge has two possible outcomes. Either it works or it doesn't. If the merge doesn't work, that seems unlikely to be good for the price of Ether, just like he was talking about a minute ago. Now, I have a hard time thinking that the merge is not going to work, okay? I'll kind of weigh in on that. So basically, like, the merge is one of those things getting practiced like crazy. Okay, we have to go through an insane amount of trials on test networks, one after the other, after the other, and then before it even gets, launched for real on the main chain. So he's saying if it doesn't be bad for the price of Ether, of course it would be bad for the price of Ether. I don't think that's going to happen. But if it does work, that will also seem unlikely to be good for the price of ETH, because proof-of-stake-based ETH will now directly compete for investors' speculator market against the all the other proof-of-stake-based digital assets. So, I don't think that that's a really great argument here, because, demand for ETH itself, okay, is, it clearly is a different animal than lots of other proof-of-stake blockchains out there. Basically, the argument here is, well, you can stake it, but what about these other staking assets? Yeah, but basically, we've already kind of seen that competition come onto the scene, where we're talking about different smart contract platforms. Of course, they have stolen market share from ETH and some of that demand, over the past bull cycle for sure. But there's clearly high demand for Ethereum block space and high demand for Ethereum, the blockchain itself, and also ETH, the asset itself, for lots of reasons. We've got, a long-standing, security of Ethereum. We've got the choices that they've made to basically maximize decentralization and security, and the trade-offs that they've made compared to other blockchains. There's a reason that it's, is what it is. I think simply saying, well, now that it's proof of stake doesn't make anything special from other blockchains out there is not a really good take in my view, okay? Especially with the price history that we've seen with Ether relative to other assets, in drawdowns, et cetera, et cetera. So basically saying, no idea whether the dollar price of Ether will go up or down between now and the merge happens. I have no idea whether the merge will happen at all. I think the merge is definitely going to happen, considering it's been delayed for so many years. But if I read the news one day and it said the merge had happened, I expect the news to be sellable. Okay, so that's I think that was not the strongest ending there. So basically, yeah, I do think the merge is going to happen. So when is it going to happen? Well, I definitely am keeping my eyes on inside of 2022. I think it's probably more conservative to say like sometime in September, right? Now that being said, we don't know for sure. Okay, these things can get pushed back. It's gotten pushed back many times, but I'm still gonna keep my expectations more broadly inside of 2022. And in terms of the news being sellable, let's say that we do have people trying to front run the opportunity and buy ETH before the merge. Okay, will there be some sort of sell the news event? Perhaps. Okay, but does that mean that it's going to be like this massive thing that absolutely tanks the price of ETH and that it's going to just completely go down to oblivion? It's really hard to forecast that type of thing. Now, that being said, we don't know what's going to happen with the overall market. All right. If we're still in this big macro time of the stock market doing poorly, crypto doing poorly, I don't know how much of a difference the merge is really going to make in that scenario. Okay, because if you have a situation where ETH is now deflationary, but the demand for buying crypto in general has completely dried up, like how is that really in the short term going to have an impact on the price of Ether, like a positive impact on the price of Ether? I don't know that it's going to, because you're talking about supply and demand forces, and you're controlling the demand side of things. Sorry, the supply side of things, where you might have a supply shock, but if the demand's not there, then that's not really going to have a positive impact on the price in the short term. Now, over the long term, I do anticipate the demand for ETH to go up, okay, from where it is today. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine a world where we don't get back to our all-time highs with the price of ETH, with all the network activity that we've had and all of the adoption that we're going to have. Okay, that's at least my bet, right? Nobody has a crystal ball and knows the future, but that's definitely my bet in terms of network adoption. That's going to trend higher over time, and that value will accrue to ETH itself. Okay, so in a world like that, of course, the deflationary side of the supply is definitely going to have an impact when you're talking about demand continuing to increase over time. Now, in the short time frame, it's like I was saying, it's hard to really say that supply side is going to affect too much if there's lack of demand in a big bear market. Same thing with the buy the rumor, sell the news situation. The whole thing is don't fight the Fed, and definitely what's going on with crypto prices right now has a big with the macro economy has a huge impact on crypto prices. We've got, massive changes in economic policy or monetary policy that are affecting the broader economy. Again, I don't pretend to be a macro expert by any stretch of the imagination, but it doesn't take a genius to see that inflation's a problem, that interest rates are going up, that's having an effect on the entire stock market, risk assets, pretty much all assets, and crypto is no exception. So in a world like that, if that dramatically changes the demand for crypto in general, it's hard to know if trading the merge ahead of time for people to kind of buy the rumor, sell the news, is even going to be an effective strategy. So it could be a situation where, the anticipation of buying this ahead of time and selling it, or people saying, oh, we're all just going to sell the merge, is kind of a moot point, because the real question is how much does this really matter if the overall trend for crypto is down for the next several months? And we don't know. Nobody has a crystal ball to really forecast that. There's lots of people who are trying to copy and paste the past onto the present moment and say, well, look at past bear markets, it has to be like this. Okay, there's no way basically trying to copy paste the past and bring it to the present moment and say it's going to be like this because of this. We went for this amount of time. We're going to have to go through it this amount of time. There's no rule that says that, right? We've seen basically, the fallacy in that is that we've seen so many people say, well, look at the top from last time, right? And how was that top necessarily like basically who forecasted that top? Everybody who's saying this bear market's everybody who's very deterministic about this bear market says it's going to be exactly like this. They were saying that the bull run and the peak was going to be exactly like, some other way than it played out, right? Basically all the armchair, basically people who think that they've got it called for the bear market know exactly how it's going to work. They didn't get the bull run right. So how would they necessarily get the bear market right and know exactly how long it's going to last? So, that's sort of my take on it. This is a day at a time situation. This is a long game. nobody truly knows what's going to happen next. And so we're in for an interesting time. But like I was saying before, over time, I do expect the ETH demand to grow. We've got lots of network adoption that's still pretty steady, even despite the bear market that we're in. We're building a lot of exciting technology that I anticipate to continue on over time. It's a big tech trend, and that is really what I'm most excited about, and that's what I really try to focus on this channel. And that's where most of the opportunity is. Of course, you can buy crypto, you can hold on to it for a long time as for some good appreciation. That's, of course, a good strategy. That's what I personally do. Of course, not financial advice. But the real opportunity is definitely, getting your hands dirty with these skills and breaking in the blockchain industry. Now's a perfect time to do that, especially when the space is quiet. I did that in the 2018, 2019 bear market, and really focused while things got quiet. And man, did that pay off big time. So if you want to do that, go check out any of those free courses on my YouTube homepage. They're going to show you the basics of becoming a blockchain developer. No matter what your background is, whether you're a new developer or experienced developer already, it's going to get you up to speed. Let's see here. Somebody says merge is not coming until 2024. It's possible. That's a long time. So does you get paid once, or is it just compound daily on interest? If you're talking about the Ethereum 2.0 staking, basically how it works is if you run a validator, you get paid sort of in a round robin approach. You get sort of selected to validate a block. You sort of take turns. Long-term, ETH will become one of the most valuable assets in history. Yeah, it's very possible. How much you get paid for staking on ETH 2.0? So the fees for staking are we don't know yet. That's sort of the short answer. Okay, so basically, there is a base. So let's talk about Ethereum 2.0 staking. So basically, there's a base rate for ETH staking. So basically, what that means is there's a certain amount of Ether that you're going to get paid by the blockchain, and then a certain amount of Ether that you're going to get paid from fees from the network. So there's two different income sources there. What we'll call one the block subsidy. That's new Ether that's created by the blockchain itself. Okay, and then there is the fees that get paid whenever people make transactions. So let's talk about the block subsidy. So there's a base APR for block subsidies on Ethereum, which basically means, let's say it's like 4% or something like that. It goes up and down because the whole idea is proof of stake is there as an incentive to secure the network. So you take your cryptocurrency, you lock it up into the blockchain, and then it earns passive income, yield. It earns interest. And the whole idea is Ethereum wants more people to participate in running the blockchain. They want more people to become validators because they need security on the network, essentially. So what they do is they incentivize people with high yield. So basically, let's just assume that the blockchain starts off with like no stakers, right? Like no validators, okay? So the interest would be incredibly high. I forget what the high end on the interest is, but it's like 20% or something like that, right? I don't have the actual tables in front of me. That's not necessarily the real number, but let's just say it's like 20%, all right? And that's an incentive because it's like, hey, there's nobody staking. We need people to stake, so we'll pay you 20% on your ETH, right? Just throwing that number out there. So you do that, and then that brings people on the network to help maintain the blockchain, and that sort of gets you that minimum viable level. And so after that, that's going to start attracting more people and more people and more people because of those high yields, but then those yields are going to start going down, okay? And because ETH doesn't want to just infinitely print new Ether. They don't want to dilute the supply, or they want to have a fixed issuance on an annual basis. So the more people stake, the less is shared by that entire group. Okay, and then some point, like if more people get online, that's going to go down, and that could cause people to drop off. It's like, it's not worth it anymore. I have to run this validator. I'm not getting paid that much in Ether, so I'm going to drop off, and then the yield goes back up. Okay, so the yield will probably find some sort of equilibrium. It's hard to know exactly what the equilibrium is going to be. Let's say it's somewhere between 3 and 5%. Okay. There's lots of guesses. I've seen lots of sophisticated calculations and spreadsheets going around, but that could be like 3 to 5% on the Ether itself. Now, that's just one way you get paid. So the other way that you get paid is essentially through, the fees. Okay. Because right now, whenever you're paying fees on the Ethereum network, of course, part of those fees get burned, but part of those fees are going straight to the miners. Okay. But whenever we switch to proof of stake, those fees are go to the validators. And so those fees are also a way that you can get, paid. So you get block subsidy, and then you get the fees that are paid by the users from making transactions, and you add those together, and that would be, that's going to bump up your percentage. So like I said, I've seen lots of sophisticated calculations that try to say like ETH staking is going to be like 10% yield. Maybe that really depends on lots of variables. Okay. It could be, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a constant 10% yield. And it's subject to so many different market forces that would go up and down that we don't exactly know, how long that would last if it were something like 10%. If the network activity got absolutely crazy, it could go higher. But, we don't really know. Don't know for sure. We don't really know for sure until it happens, honestly. And then, honestly, you don't really know until hindsight. Okay. You get to look at your past rewards to see how much you actually made rather than knowing exactly how much it's going to be every single time, because there's no way to accurately forecast the variables in the future. So says the merge is going to happen this year. I think it will be. The fastest way to become a smart contract auditor? That's a great question. So you definitely want to learn solidity in and out so that you understand pretty much every aspect of the programming language. You know how to write smart contracts, to build your own applications and have a real professional level skill. Now, on top of that, the best way is to look at past audits and look at past hacks and see how they've happened, because you ultimately want to learn like a lot of different patterns. Okay. You want to learn how different contracts have been audited in the past or been exploited in the past, and then learn how to recognize those patterns and apply them to other things. So you can definitely check out like Damn Vulnerable DeFi. So this is a good website that's like a playground that kind of talks about different patterns, and you can kind of go through those challenges and look at how they work. So let's just kind of start learning blockchain. Huge crashes going on now, right? Yeah, you can definitely start learning blockchain now. It's a great time to do it. It's exactly what I did after 2017. I mean, I got in the space in 2017, but doubled down my skills in 2018, 2019. So do I think the ETH merge a single state transition? I guess I'm not totally, I don't totally understand what you're asking that question. So should I start to buy ETH? Well, I'm not going to give financial advice. So is ETH really a good crypto? If Vitalik have COVID or accidentally, price will go down. So I mean, if something happened to Vitalik, I do think that it could be, short-term bearish for ETH. But I think, ETH is pretty decentralized in terms of its execution and mission at this point, that I think that Ethereum could definitely exist and succeed beyond Vitalik. And I think he's been taking lots of measures to try to hand the reins over so that he's not sort of the CEO of Ethereum, right? So, I do think that it could be bad for it in the short term, but I don't think it would be a game changer in the long term. I think about people who have said that Apple would be nothing after Steve Jobs, right? Like Apple still clearly is a massively valuable company that has gone on to make a lot more money after Steve passed. That's really not the best analogy because Ethereum's not a company, right? It's a decentralized, autonomous organization, but that's the basic analogy. So instead of giving financial advice, how about get some financial suggestions? Nice try. So what is 2.0 merge? So basically, Ethereum 2.0 is coming out. It's a new and improved version of Ethereum. It's been waiting for a very long time. Basically, it makes the blockchain a proof-of-stake blockchain with stakers instead of miners. And that's when basically you have a second blockchain that's getting built right now, and you have the blockchain that's already being used, and you merge them together. The two become one, hence the Ethereum 2.0 merge. All right, let's go ahead and check on the markets today. So crypto made a pretty crazy round trip in the past few days, right? Basically, we saw this dump and then this massive pump and then back to here. So a lot of this definitely had to do with the Federal Reserve meeting and press conference that happened yesterday. Okay. I don't want to get into all the crazy details of that because, again, I'm not trying to weigh in too much on the macro scene here. I'm not a macro expert by any stretch of the imagination, but it doesn't take a genius also to see that markets have a high sensitivity to what the Fed says. So they are going to go through the 75 basis point hike. Okay. They are going to plan to probably do another one, but they plan to reduce the rate of hikes, later this year. All right, that's at least that's the stated plan. We don't know if that's going to be, what actually happens. A lot of times we see stated plans ahead of time that end up changing. So hopefully we can get inflation under control. Hopefully the market can start freaking out about this. Let's look at what's going on with stocks and tech. So we're already seeing a down day. With higher risk tech stocks, things like that. I just don't think we're in a situation where crypto is just going to rip off to all-time highs or even really recover or flatten out while the stock market is basically still getting drugged down. Crypto and stocks are being affected by the same thing. So it's the economy, stupid. It's the whole thing here. So yeah, S&P is still getting roasted. Yeah, it's looking rough. So this Fed raised rates 75 basis points to a total of 1.75%. Inflation is at 8.6%. At 1.75, federal funds rate will have virtually no effect on 8.6% inflation. Yeah, I have a hard time arguing with that. I think their plan is to try to do it slowly over time. I think you're right. I think it's going to have anemic results. A lot of our inflation problems, it comes from multiple issues, right? About loose monetary policy, that's inflated the money supply, hence inflation, but it's also a lot of supply side stuff, right? Supply chain issues, commodity availability and policy around that, right? So, some of this other stuff could potentially be worked out, but their goal is to try to destroy demand. And I don't know if it's going to work. We'll see. Is Jack's Web 5 really a threat to E2.0? I don't think so. What are chances of crypto depegging from the stock market? I mean, low right now. I think, in terms of the headwind that it's facing, like, basically stocks, like I think the macroeconomy is affecting pretty much everything. And I don't see a scenario where like crypto is just going to be immune from that. I mean, one scenario is that, crypto just gets the life sucked out of it completely where, it's hard for it to really get, chugged down much more. But that basically presupposes that people are going to buy, because you need buy pressure to keep that from happening. So, we'll see. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. So, we might try to do another coding live stream soon. We did one recently. People seem to like it pretty well. If that's something that you want to do, let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know in the live stream notes. Let me know what you want to see inside of a coding live stream, okay? But until then, definitely you can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find those free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. This is the perfect time to double down on your skills. There's opportunity in the crypto space 365 days a year, bull market, bear market. When you become a blockchain developer and actually work inside the industry, you also get really close to the projects and you see all the amazing stuff. It's the best way for people to make life-changing money with crypto without having to speculate on cryptocurrency prices, which are completely out of our control. So, if you want to get started on that today, definitely go to the YouTube homepage, find those free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I should have mastered blockchain step-by-step, start to finish, over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. You have to be an expert to get started today. I thought people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching.